With us today is Vicky Wall of Every Life Counts. You may know that this month is Trisomy Awareness Month. Vicky's daughter actually had a trisomy, and so she has personal experience of the matter. Vicky, maybe you would tell us a bit more about your work so far.
So I help with an organisation called Every Life Counts, and we do lots of things. We support parents that have had a poor diagnosis of baby, and we also try to raise awareness of trisomies and what that means. There's different types of trisomy. There's trisomy 21, which most people know about. That's Down syndrome. And then there's trisomy 18, which is Edwards syndrome. And then there's trisomy 13, which is Pateau syndrome. There's also trisomy 9 and trisomy 7. And then there's different variations of the trisomy, like full, partial, and mosaic. So it's quite complicated.
Yeah, and what was your experience with your daughter Layden like?
So at 24 weeks, we were told that a few things were wrong and we needed to get her checked. And we found out just by a scan, the doctor was able to look at her and say that it looked very like Edwards syndrome, trisomy 18, and that she was incompatible with life. We were told that really our only option was to travel for an abortion. So we went researching trisomy 18, and from the wonders of Facebook and the internet, we saw that a lot of children actually do okay and live, and with small interventions and large interventions, they do well with supports of caregivers and doctors.
I was on Twitter just yesterday and I seen an advertisement by a company trying to sell their prenatal screening product. And they even used a picture of a Down syndrome child to try and sell it. And I was just amazed, because here was a company that was using children who they wish to eliminate from this world in order to sell the product and make money. And I think it's just typical of the approach that's taken to so many of these children with either a trisomy or a disability. And we seem to have just a very blasé attitude towards their lives. Is that your experience as well?
Certainly not from parents. From doctors, I have picked that up. I have spoke to other parents. There's a wonderful page on Facebook, and it's Stop Bullying Expectant Mums. And it's actually a horrific story of a lovely young mother who went in for a scan on her baby and basically was bullied into having an abortion because her baby had trisomy 21 and was the doctor actually pointed to her other children in the room and said, would you do this to them? Would you put them through this? So, you know, from parents' point of view, you know, they're not getting this, but certainly the support around diagnosis of trisomy is there's a lot to be desired, and doctors need to be responsible. They need to, if they're going to be pushing this NIPT testing, which they seem to be, they need to be responsible. And you know, we can't celebrate the Special Olympics in one hand and celebrate these wonderful children and people, and then on the other hand aggressively push for screening, and if a child is diagnosed, not the proper supports given.
And with some of the professionals who you've met working in this area, has it been the case that they've taken a callous attitude towards it generally, or been open to your message?
So recently I was in an event in the Coombe in Dublin, and one of the doctors there was talking about a national Down syndrome screening program, and how information should be given to parents if they chose not to screen. Now, I found that very, very disturbing, that would even be thought of, that this screening should be given, and especially, as I said earlier, when the terminology around these diagnoses is so poor, and that, you know, parents are just terrified. They're not, you know, given, and it's understandable. We're not saying these parents are bad parents. We know they're not. It's just if you're faced with this diagnosis and you have a doctor who you trust and they're trained to do this, and they're telling you that this baby isn't going to have a good quality of life, then, you know, as a parent, you might be convinced to do that as the right thing at that time. And we know from talking to parents that have gone through this and that have ended their babies' lives, they don't feel that. They're sorry that they haven't taken the time and gone into research and looked to see what could be different and what could be done.
And the biggest day of the month for Trisomy Awareness Month is approaching, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's tomorrow, which is lovely. It was very sad to see that ad that you spoke about on Twitter today, to use that beautiful baby in that ad for a test for screening. It's very, very disturbing to see that, to promote that picture, and that's somebody's very much loved child. But tomorrow is March the 21st. It's National Down Syndrome Day, and they ask that you wear odd socks and take a picture and maybe tweet them or put it up on Facebook, just in support of the wonderful community that Down syndrome is.
Very good. Well, we'll all take note of that, hopefully, and be wearing our odd socks. And that's a great initiative, I have to say. Is there anything else you'd like to share with viewers before we wrap up?
Well, just if people go on to Every Life Counts, our Facebook and our Twitter and our webpage, you will see we constantly share stories of these babies, and these are real stories. These are families, they're people. There's no political agenda. They're just real families with real stories. And even yesterday, we just shared the beautiful story of Harper Grace. And this is her third Trisomy Awareness Month. She's 3 years old, and she's wonderful, and she's the light of her family's life, and such a joy. And I always remember when Leiden was diagnosed with trisomy 18 and didn't live, how I would have just given anything for her to have trisomy 21. So as they say, it's only when you get the very least do you hope for a bit better. But Every Life Counts is a superb place for information and stories and support. We have a wonderful group of parents. We have nearly 100 parents now that are part of Every Life Counts, and they're willing to help other parents through any difficulties they might have with the diagnosis.